Hello everybody. Music history has been made over the past week. There's a new talent in town. Someone was signed, and it was not the next Nirvana. And a lot of people are upset about that. But I think it's a great thing. I think it's a beautiful thing. Everyone needs to stop making stupid famous. That's the phrases that we hear. The music industry and the major labels aren't doing anything that they haven't done in the past. See, if you have a product that's proven to be profitable or proven to have mass appeal, that's all that matters to a major label. Everyone knows that. That's just common sense. Nothing here is any different than it's ever been. The one thought that I have about this, and the reason why I'm doing this, is because it's not to give my opinions about Bad Baby or any of the new artists that have been coming onto the scene over the past year, this whole new wave of hip-hop. I don't have an opinion about it, because me having an opinion about it would be the equivalent of the old geezers talking badly about Nirvana and the bands of the 90s. It just doesn't make any sense. I'm not the target audience, and that's fine. It speaks to a new generation. Whether you like it or not, that's just what it is, and that's just how it is. You know, you don't have to listen to it. And that's the beauty of music, is that you don't have to listen to what the mainstream puts out there. And that brings me to my next point. I think music's going to be just fine, because music's already fine. There's a lot of great bands out there. All you have to do is look. And you don't need the radio, the TV, or any major label to tell you what's good. We never did need that in the first place. It would be cool if some of the bands who we feel are underappreciated had the power that labels put into their artists, but we could do a lot of that ourselves. It would just take a little more effort. You see, when I was a kid and my birthday would roll around, or Christmas, and I'd have to tell my relatives what to get me, I'd always say, get me some coconut coins, you know? Because at that time, there was a time where you didn't have any choice but to buy your albums. If you wanted to buy an album, you had to go buy it. You had no choice. The music industry still had something tangible to sell, something that you can actually hold in your hand and buy. It was a real product. It was an actual physical product. That was the late 90s and the early 2000s, right before Napster hit. As soon as Napster hit, then it all started going downhill. And we've been at a slow crawl to its final death, which just happened this past week, ever since. I feel like it is a symbolic death. I feel like it is a symbolic final nail in the coffin for the old music industry. I don't think music is dead. I think that the old music industry is finally dead. And that's fine, because it needed to happen, and we need to put it behind us, and we need to now look forward and take matters into our own hands. I can name 3 bands that I love off the top of my head that you may or may not have even heard of. Okay, number 1, the Lemon Twigs. Number 2, Wolfpack. Number 3, Hiatus Coyote. Check them out. 3 very creative bands that are doing something different while pulling from classic sounds of the 50s, 60s, and 70s. It's a beautiful sound, and there's a lot of musicality in these bands. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much good music out there, and if you know of bands that you feel are underappreciated, you must not only spread the word, but buy from them. Buy their albums and support them. If you don't have the money, well, ask your relatives for that $10 coconuts coin. You know, I know that's completely obsolete, but I use that as a metaphor for just figure it out. Because we didn't have a choice back then, and that's why there was a music industry. Now we don't have to scrounge together change to save up to buy the albums we want. We don't need to do that. There's no desire for that anymore, because we feel like, well, it's so easy to just get it right now. We can stream it on Spotify. For the bands and the artists, think out of the box. Why don't you start doing things that maybe you thought before was a little beneath you? I know that as an artist you want to have that mystique, and I get that there's a certain integrity that we want to keep intact as artists. But, you see, we can't be thinking like that right now. See, now, we've got to go back to being loud. We've got to go back to having fun. We've got to go back to starting our own parties for ourselves and not have any ulterior motives other than just, let's party. Let's just have a good time. And I know that it's not completely dead either, because there's still festivals all over the world. If you're upset because this girl got signed, hey, all I can say is, you got to start rethinking things and change your focus around. Her success does not dictate your failure. It's all in your hands. And what better time than now, with all the tools that we have at our fingertips, to just think out of the box and come up with some fun, engaging things to get people excited about music. None of you know this, but one day, back when my channel first started, the first year that my channel popped off on YouTube, I was in an office on the top floor of a big building in Times Square for a major label. And I sat down with a very well-known record executive. I'll never forget it. I sat down with him. He wanted to talk to me because obviously 10 Second Songs was buzzing at the time. I remember thinking, oh, this is a good opportunity to tell him about my band. I was naive back then. When I told him about my band and he pulled up one of our music videos, he saw that it had 100,000 views and he didn't even bother listening to it. Told me that rock music was dead, it's never coming back, and my only ticket out is 10 Second Songs. My 10 Second Songs audience will not be interested in Set the Charge, and that I should only focus on 10 Second Songs. That was an eye-opening experience. But you know the reason why that happened? Set the Charge didn't prove itself. These labels, they don't care what it sounds like. If a band emerges on the scene that has a new sound or a sound that's different and it actually has reach and it's actually generating views and showing its potential, you don't think that this band won't get major label attention? Of course they will. Nirvana came around and unexpectedly changed everything. Where I think people need to be is in a creative spot in their head where they're having fun and they're mixing sounds together and they're trying different things because it's exciting artistically. Things happen. Things have its own natural course. No one has control of when music takes an unexpected turn. All we could do is contribute and support all your artists and bands. Don't be afraid to ask for support. We have Patreon, we have crowdfunding. I have a Patreon page. I don't plug it often, but I did just upgrade all my perks. You should check it out. There's a lot we can do ourselves. We don't need the mainstream to tell us what's good. We don't need the mainstream to give us a lift. We really don't need it. And yes, that means that there's a lot more work on our part. But isn't the payoff so much greater when you know that you worked your ass off to get to where you want to be? I am 100% where I want to be. And I am so grateful for all the years that I've put into this channel and my band and us figuring out our sound. Everything helped each other. And I'm so grateful for that, and I'm so grateful for those of you who are willing to support me. It's people like you that are going to keep music alive. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. Bands, artists, singers, whoever you are, keep doing what you're doing. Stop worrying, stop caring. We're going to be all right.